Friday morning, it's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Obviously, big day for a couple reasons here. We have a possible ceasefire, and we're ending an agreement there between the United States and Iran for the war over there. SpaceX, they have live tickers here going on on what's happening. We now know the musts have arrived there at the stock exchange as the SpaceX stock is going live here today with their IPO, and it's going to be the biggest IPO in history. We got those stories coming up for you. Of course, we'll do the market watch, stocks we're paying attention to, all your local and national stories you need to know going into the weekend as well. So let's not delay it all. Let's get into it with that market watch. Yep, just a day here. Iran deal hope is out there. SpaceX IPO enthusiasm here on the market. Dow Jones right now up 132 points, 50,996 is where that's trading at. S&P excuse me. Gotta learn to talk here. S&P 500 is up 6 points to 73.97 this morning. Nasdaq is down about 76 points here today, 25,735 as well. And then the Russell 2K, it's up 18 points as we're looking at it right now. That small cap index is at 2944 as of now. Bitcoin, well, up to 63,000 today, 63,305 for Bitcoin. Not rebounding at all. It's staying at that low 60,000 level here as we look at them for this whole week here. Just a week and a half ago, this stock was trading at 78,000-ish or so. And so now maybe it's found its bottom at least here at 63,000, but it's not going down, but not really headed up here as well. Stocks we are paying attention to, where we're going to look at those space stocks again here early in trading. By the way, oil way down today as well, based off of the news over the Middle East. So we'll kind of have an update story for you here. Our lead story is going to be SpaceX IPO. Then we'll talk about the supposed deal here between the Iran and the U.S. But space stocks we're going to look at. Rocket Labs, the first one, down 4.77% here today. This was going up. These stocks were going up in pre-market, but since the market's open, they've all sold off. Obviously, big anticipation of SpaceX stock going live today on the IPO. Competitors is what we're looking at. AST Space Mobile's the next one we're going to look at, down 8.16% as well. These stocks were down 2 days ago on Wednesday. They were up yesterday, down big today with SpaceX coming live here at any moment now. And then we're going to look at Redwire's another one we're going to look at. See, all down 7.20% for Redwire right now. There is one in this business that was up earlier, should still be up. We're going to look at EchoStar. It's kind of a bonus space stock we're looking at. They're actually down. Wow. 7.20%. The reason why I was thinking that might buck the trend. Now, like I said, pre-market, all these were up. Since the market's open, they've all sold off because the IPO is definitely happening today for SpaceX. EchoStar, I thought, would continue to be at least close to even or up. The reason why? They have a stake in SpaceX, so they're going to specifically benefit from this IPO today, if it's a successful IPO, after the market takes on that stock and controls the pricing. So even EchoStar, who has the stake in SpaceX, down 8.30% here today. And that's kind of our lead story going into today. You have two lead stories, and which one do you go with was kind of the question. Well, since we're talking about the space stocks, let's just stay with that. And as I told you, today is SpaceX's will officially start trading today, the biggest IPO in history. We know for sure that's what it's going to be. SpaceX did price its IPO last night at $135 a share. Yeah, that's what they put the price at. It's going to be on the NASDAQ. It's going to trade under the ticker symbol SPCX is what it's going to trade under. SpaceX offered 555.6 million shares. It hit a record $75 billion raise is what we already know it's going to do that. Underwriters are holding a green shoe or option to sell additional shares if demand does outstrip the initial allotment. That's 83 million shares as well. That'll be worth additional if they need it, which they should need it, worth about $11.2 billion. The terms of the offering set an initial stock market value for SpaceX at about $1.78 trillion. The biggest open question here is how much ends up with retail investors. We've heard rumors and we knew they were going to give more to retail investors, but the rumors as of last night and kind of figures is SpaceX is targeting a retail allocation of about 30%. Usually most IPOs are 5 to 10% levels. The final figure, we won't know for sure until it actually hits the market out there, but that's their target number. Reports suggest SpaceX drew retail orders in excess of $100 billion. And retail means not the institutional investors out there like Stanley or like the big companies, Fidelity and things, trying to buy it for their customers. We're talking like you and me buying them as the retail side. The company reportedly told investors it would stop taking orders on Wednesday. Usually they wait till the day before, but so it's about a day early here. But that's because SpaceX and its bankers needed all of Thursday to determine who gets shares of the IPO. So SpaceX's IPO shares, they're running 4 times oversubscribed, according to Reuters. That indicates obviously strong demand if they're 4 times more orders than what stocks are there. As of this morning, Nasdaq's market makers will begin matching buy and sell orders to find an opening price on the market. So that does take a while, and that's why the stock isn't trading live on the opening bell, and it comes out later in the day. Is because they, especially on these high visual and the high anticipated IPOs, takes a while to put that process together. But by this afternoon, we know that SpaceX most valuable private company, well, will be the most valuable public company here as well in the United States. So, and obviously the market after that will set the price. Um, Moving forward, I've seen a lot of people speculate this they're going to see a rundown of this stock after the initial blip here, is what I've heard from people anticipating it. I'm not so sure about that. At least right away, you might not see it. The bigger question that I have to pay attention to, like people own Tesla stock just because Elon Musk, is the CEO of that company. Now you've got two Elon companies out there. People going to leave Tesla to move over to SpaceX. Kind of something to watch there and what the Tesla stock does moving up as well. But as of right now, not on the market. Let me see if I get the latest update. I am not kidding you. They have a live update ticker on Fox Business, CNBC Business, on, on where we are right now. Like May Musk arrived at NASDAQ. There's protesters setting up over that had been set up over at Times Square as well. Elon Musk rang the initial bell there. So, I mean, literally a live ticker out there, folks. So, nice. But there you go. And also, Elon Musk is going to become the first trillionaire today when it does officially hit the market, which it has not done as of yet. And we're about, 39 minutes into the trading day, and it has not hit the market yet. So we don't know what the opening price is as of now. But other than the SpaceX IPO, which is highly anticipated, the highly anticipated U.S. and Iran deal, it might be completed. Well, these two countries may sign an agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz on the sidelines of the Group of Seven World Leaders Summit next week. From what we understand last night, it was announced on both sides. Frameworks were done. Not even frameworks, but specific deals were done. I just got to put it on paper. A senior Iranian official indicated overnight that a deal is likely. And they asked for some time over there at the G7 summit next week. So we know that's the plan, at least, moving forward. This year's G7 summit does take place in Evian. That's in the French Alps. It's going to be June 15th to June 17th. Geneva in Switzerland is nearby and being floated as a potential location for the signing as soon as this Sunday, and then move into the G7 summit. President Trump did he didn't say it, but he indicated that, of course, J.D. Vance, the vice president, Steve Witkoff, he's a special envoy, that they would represent him at the signing that happens as soon as early as Sunday, they're saying. We know that immediately the Strait of Hormuz will open up. We know that obviously the warring factions will end as well. We know they have to get rid of uranium. I think they have 60 days, is what I was hearing this morning, to get rid of their uranium. The blockade on Iran will stay until the uranium goes away, is what I was also hearing. Is kind of this deal coming up as well. So, Iran, U.S., supposedly that's driving oil prices down again today. Last night, I saw oil prices were down about 10 cents out where I was before the announcement of this deal. Obviously, big news yesterday that the U.S. was having 20 something ships a night go through the Strait of Hormuz without anybody knowing, which is a lot of oil, folks, about half of the old daily amount. So they've been doing that for a while now. So oil prices dropping, oil prices down today on the market. Maybe that inflation that we've been seeing due to those energy prices, we're going to finally see some relief here with the fisticuffs over there, hopefully done as well. And other news around the economy yesterday, some more good news, I guess you can say, for the president. Federal Appeals Court, it ruled that President Trump's 10% global tariffs, they said that they're most likely legal. They said that the tariffs can remain in place until the court delivers its final word. Jump in post. So basically, you can't. They're not making them stop it while they work on it, which means most likely those tariffs are legal, and they're going to allow them to continue. Because if they didn't think they were legal and they were going to stop it, they would actually tell them they're not authorized to do them as of right now. So we got kind of a way the court is leaning. Trump imposed these new levies after the Supreme Court, of course, said his previous emergency tariffs were illegal as well. So he put these 10% in. The federal trade court last month found these new 10% tariffs unlawful and blocked officials from forcing a group of plaintiffs to pay it. Well, appeals court said, never mind, you can keep going with it. So the Trump administration's now brought the battle before the U.S. Court of Appeals, and it previously issued a brief. The Court of Appeals did a brief reprieve to the administration. This new ruling enables the tariff to proceed uninhibited until they do a final decision. If you remember, the group of Democratic-controlled states that also sued on the emergency tariff basis, two small businesses filed challenges here to the 10% ruling, saying the president is acting beyond his authority to enact a global trade war. Trump did impose these 10% rates on most imports as well. So this was back in February, almost immediately after the other ones were deemed to be illegal. So the reason why these are probably legal, Trump pointed to the Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. It authorizes the president to temporarily surcharge imports up to 15% to deal with large and serious United States balance of payment defects. That term is what the courts are dealing with and trying to figure out. What are balance of payments and what does that mean? So that is there. Tariffs of 10% can continue. There we go, moving forward. And Ethan chimes in. Don't forget, TME Media AZ, catch us live here at 7 a.m. Get on the chat if you like to participate in the show. Ethan says, isn't Musk also the first trillionaire? Well, he will be when this stock goes live coming up here as well. The 2026 midterm election, well, it's going to pump a lot of money into this economy. We already knew it would. We know how much elections cost. Record amounts coming up. Yeah, this midterm election cycle could surpass the 2024 presidential cycle. It's unusual that a midterm gets more precedence than a presidential election a year does. So they're saying it could reach record advertising spend for any U.S. election. Yeah, we're getting this from advertising intelligence company Ad Impact saying these numbers. These races are projected this year for the midterms to reach $11.6 billion in ad spend, making it the most expensive cycle ever, and also eclipsing the $11.2 billion spent for ads in the presidential elections of 2024. Yeah, it's rare, as I said, a midterm election surpasses the presidential year election. This is just an amazing number. The new projection is a $795 million increase from a previous projection that was made last year because these races are closer than they thought they would be. So that adds up and increases spending. The midterm cycle is set to be the most intense than previous cycles. Obviously, Republicans do control both chambers of Congress. The 2022 midterm cycle, it drew $8.9 billion in ad spend. That means we're getting another $3 million in ad spend from the 2022 midterms. Yeah, if the projection does hold, the 2026 ad spend 30% higher than that last midterm election in 2022. Ad Impact said it expects 5.6 billion to be spent on broadcast, 1.4 billion on cable, 2.6 billion on connected TV, and then 1.68 billion actually on digital networks as well. Advertising is a main revenue driver for media companies, especially in election years. But sports, live events, news, they do attract the most spending. They get the most eyeballs on television. Elections, the more contested they are, the more close they are, or the ones in battleground states where, if it teeters from Democrat to Republican, it'll change kind of the order and who's controlling what. Those bring in some of the highest ad revenues as well from the broadcast perspective in those areas. Broadcast TV does remain one of the largest forces in political advertising. It comprises nearly half of the total cycle spending and is driven almost entirely by the state races that are happening. States seeing those largest spend overall, well, California, Texas, Michigan, and Ohio are the ones that are expected to get the most ad spends. Either blue, purple states that could switch, from Republican to Democrat or vice versa for some of those positions, or just close races like the California governor race as well. That's a Republican and a Democrat battling it out there. Texas is going to feature competitive Senate races. And then, of course, that governor's race in California is just going to be tons of money out there. Through June 1st, Ad Impact does say, estimate that political ad spending has reached $4 billion. That's a 46% increase over the same point in the 2024 presidential election cycle. That's just through June 1st for the primaries. Mm, A lot of money being pumped into this economy based off of these elections coming up as well. And I've told you guys all along as we move to pricing in the market, right? We know the tariffs are good at 10%, at least deemed allowed to continue to happen while we wait for a final ruling. We know the Iran war is ending. We at least have the indication it's ending. Oil prices are dropping. We know inflation's been high because of those exorbitant um, energy prices that should be coming down now. All of that's happening. Well, we got some, unfortunately, bad news for this beef shortage that's happening and these astronomical beef prices that we've been seeing here lately as well. And I've been telling you all along, we are we are telling the beef industry with our demand staying high for these high prices. We're telling the beef industry we're willing to pay this much. They aren't going to be in a hurry to reduce the pricing, even if there wasn't a cattle shortage out there. But now they're saying here, according to Fox Business, did some interviews with a lot of people in the cattle world, and they're saying now that this cattle shortage, the beef shortage, may not ease anytime soon. They're saying this could go to 28, 29 years as well. The U.S. cattle herd remains at its lowest level in 70 something years now, keeping pressure on prices to stay high, even as consumers, we continue to buy all the beef at the elevated levels. Retail beef prices reached a record $9.64 per pound in April, 13% up from a year earlier. And a year earlier, those were hitting record numbers at then. Recent concerns have centered on that reemergence of that screwworm parasite that has been found in Texas. I heard some stuff that might have kind of investigating whether it's moved into New Mexico now as well. We know it's down in Mexico itself. That's where it came from. That's what everybody's been focusing on lately is the screwworm. But the problem is we can't get cattle imports from Mexico because of that screwworm. as well. And imports from Mexico account for about 4 to 5% of the U.S. live cattle market. But what people aren't talking about and kind of put it on the back burner because of the screwworm situation and the import situation, well, the size of domestic herd continues to be an issue. Ranchers have to retain more female cattle. Why? Well, breeding reasons. They can't send them to market, and that process, obviously, to make baby cows takes some time and delays any meaningful increase in supplies. Those supply constraints have persisted even as consumer demand does remain strong. Obviously, with the holidays, July 4th coming up, right? Then you got Labor Day later on in the summer. So you're seeing the demand still skyrocket out there. The combination of limited supply and resilient demand has created this unusual market dynamic that is supporting these higher prices. They're not going away anytime soon, folks. And I'll even tell you this, even if our cattle herd got up to record levels and oversupply, I think beef prices are going to continue to stay high. And it's because we're showing them right now 13% increase over last year and demand is still high. We're telling them we'll pay these higher prices. Once you show them that you can do that, it's rare the prices drop, in my opinion, out there. Robert chimes in on the YouTube page as well in the chat. He says, I don't believe big beef. Well, that's the other side of it. Don't believe the people that have an invested interest in those prices staying higher as well out there. They have an incentive to keep them higher, right? Just like don't believe the oil companies when it comes to pricing because they have an incentive for the prices on oil to stay high out there. When we come back, we'll actually look at some of the travel stocks out there. United Airlines is one of them as well, with oil prices dropping like a rock here today with the news in the Middle East. We'll look at United Airlines, but there's other travel ones that are all being affected today as well. We'll look at that coming up. So come on back, folks. McCollum on Business, Friday edition. And you just saw there, of course, the ad for the Real Matrix today at noon, both on Rumble as well as over on your favorite podcast systems. A new episode of the Real Matrix is out. It's episode 3, I guess we'll call it, of the Charlie Kirk mini episode, I guess we could say. I just lost my train of thought on what big word I was trying to use. But episode 3 here, kind of the third part in this chapter of the Charlie Kirk saga out there is what we'll call it. The Angry Patriot. I just ask that you come into this show with an open mind. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. Noon today, new episode. Of course, when you go to Rumble there, right above the videos, you'll see a little menu. Just click on channel. You can click on any of the show channels we have there. Click on the Real Matrix or the main event or McCollum on Business, and boom, it pops up for you. You can catch the episodes. All episodes are on demand over on Rumble for all of our shows on Rumble. And for those of you that do catch the free podcast, thank you for that. Angry Patriot wanted me to send you guys the thanks as well. Well, that's available. Just search the Angry Patriot, search the Real Matrix Angry Patriot on your favorite podcast system, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. All of them. iHeart, Podchaser. Well, you could find it there as well and catch it if you'd rather have the audio version of that show. Noon today, new episode coming your way as well. Then, of course, as soon as we're done here, this show gets up, not just on Rumble, where everything is on demand at Rumble, but here at TME Media on YouTube. Those of you catching us live right now, thank you very much. Share us with your friends. Get your morning started here around the business world. But also, we go on demand on YouTube as well as soon as we're done. So if you can't catch us live, your boss, your slave driver boss has you in a meeting early in the morning, or you want to watch the main event coming up live, 8 to 10 o'clock here on YouTube as well, but you have to go into meetings and you miss some of it, well, it's live on YouTube at TME Media AZ, also on demand on YouTube and over on Rumble, TME Media AZ. Of course, you can catch free podcasts for all of our shows except for this one. The pit stop for the week is up here on the podcast systems as well as on YouTube and Rumble. We look ahead this weekend to Pocono for the Cup Series and the O'Reilly Series in NASCAR. Next weekend, big weekend around racing. So next week's show is going to be a big one. Tune up for next week by catching this week's show right now on demand on YouTube, TME Media AZ, and over on Rumble if you prefer that platform or free podcast systems. And follow us on the Pit Stop Talk on X. Follow TME Media AZ on X as well. We appreciate it very much out there. And with all that being said, folks, and don't forget, join in on the chats for our live shows. We're going to be putting out some U.S. and the World Cup starts today. Yesterday, we had two matches yesterday. Mexico ended up getting the win and South Korea getting the win last night. Two matches today. Canada and the U.S. get underway. We'll be putting out some World Cup stuff over the weekend right there on YouTube and Rumble as well. So if you're a soccer fan or, excuse me, a football fan, we'll catch out and subscribe to the YouTube page and be ready for that stuff coming out as well. Folks, with all that being said, let's get right back into that Friday Market Watch. And it's a positive day. Everybody's still waiting for the news on. Let me just check here really quick here. The live updates around it. SpaceX has not hit the market yet. I do anticipate it's going to take a few hours to get it up there because of all the work they have to do. But obviously, that's big anticipation today that SpaceX is doing the IPO. Oil prices down today. The traders are still awaiting more of those Iran details, like when it's going to be signed, when the Strait of Hormuz is going to open, et cetera, et cetera. So that proposed U.S.-Iran deal, is kind of stifling this market as well as they're waiting for that. But Dow Jones right now up 210 points. The S&P 500 is up to 21 points. NASDAQ has gone positive. Boy, when SpaceX starts trading today, expect that to go even more positive. The NASDAQ's up only 10 points right now. Now, then the Russell 2K, geesh, that small cap index, 27 points up for it. Bitcoin, well, on the positive side today, but still trading in the 63,000 range, 63,570 for Bitcoin today. I was thinking yesterday about all the people, all the big companies buying, hundreds of millions of dollars in that 100,000 range for Bitcoin. It hasn't even come close to getting back up to that number at all for the people that spent their money on that investment back then. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, we looked at the space stocks earlier, the competitors of SpaceX, but now let's go with some other industries, and the software industry is the first one we're going to look at with Adobe. You know them, Premiere Pro, Acrobat, etc. Well, they're down 7.72% today. They reported its fiscal second quarter operating margin came in at 44%. The estimate was 44.5%. So just missing it. They did also announce that their CFO, Dan Dunn, he's going to depart on June 15th to pursue a new opportunity. That's a quick leave for a CFO. They usually take longer to leave. Adobe did post an overall beat on the top and bottom lines for its last quarter, but Adobe down 7.67% based off of all of that news. And then let's go home construction with Lennar out there. They're down as well today, 3.29%. Second quarter revenue was $7.94 billion. Well, it missed the analyst forecast of 8.02 billion. That's a big miss. Deliveries for the quarter came in at 20,519 homes. Well, they were expecting 20,541 homes to be delivered. Lamar's earnings of $1.24 per share were in line with estimates, though, so there is that good news. But Lennar down 3.02% here today on the market. And then we're going to show you United Airlines, but it's kind of like the travel stocks in general. They're all up today, basically. Now, some are less than others, right? This you can see if you see the graph here, up and down, and there's a big sell-off happening, but it is still up 0.23%. For the general basis of it, travel stocks are all up today because of the pullback in oil. Obviously, United Airlines, for instance, oil prices go down, means that helps them out on their expense side. They're up. Delta's up today. Delta's up right now about half a point. Cruise operators like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, they were up today as well, about 1% for them. So travel stocks, they're generally up today. Now, as the market goes on, if there's a sell off, that could happen. Energy stocks are all down today, right? Conoco, ExxonMobil, etc. Oil prices dropping with the Strait of Hormuz situation. So those are dropping today. So we're seeing big movements here in some of these industries out there as well. And let's get into some local stories here. Got a couple of them for you. And then Chick-fil-A fans, if you got kids and they don't particularly like the chicken around Chick-fil-A, but your other kids do, right? And you have to fight about it. Like when I was a kid, my sister wouldn't eat Mexican food like Taco Bell. That's where Del Taco came in, right? Because they sell hamburgers and fries there. Well, stay tuned. Chick-fil-A is kind of branching out. Well, it's sort of branching out in their menu items there. It's something they already have, but they're doing some changes to it. But they'll come up here in just a couple stories. But now we find out that Waymo, the autonomous vehicle company, they purchased the 5,500 acres of land up in Whitman from a company called Route 14 Investment Partners. It's just who own the land there for $220 million. What it is that Whitman testing site is what they bought. Waymo says it's going to test its robo taxis at the site. Chrysler and Apple, they've used that for vehicle testing over the years. Waymo did put out a social media post. This is where I saw it. They said this investment gives our teams dedicated urban and freeway tracks to validate software and in a controlled setting before deploying it into the public. This follows the Waymo's decision in May to suspend freeway services in Phoenix and across the country. The bad weather stuff, remember? The acquisition joins Waymo's two other vehicle testing sites they have. California and Ohio are the other two. And now, Whitman, Arizona, folks, for Waymo, as they continue their expansion out there. Now, if you live in North Phoenix, you might have already heard about this because it directly affects you out there. But the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, they proposed consolidating flight paths over the Phoenix area. But the city of Phoenix is asking the FAA to consider alternatives, all because of noise concerns over neighborhoods. In efforts to modernize the Phoenix airspace, the FAA has proposed moving away from dispersed flight paths, meaning planes can take off and there's several ways they can go. They want them to satellite guided paths, which means kind of like a highway for planes where everybody goes on the same route. Right? It's going to consolidate traffic to set the routes as well. So instead of like multiple neighborhoods getting noise spread out, it'll just be one long highway path above some of these neighborhoods. Neighborhoods underneath the proposed flight path would hear more consistent airplane noise if this does go through. So the FAA proposal says 80,000 residents in North Phoenix would experience a reportable noise increase between 3 and 6 decibels. And it'll be a constant one because every plane will be on that route. It's not the first time Phoenix has had concerns over changes to the flight paths the FAA wants to do. The last time the FAA tried to change flight paths in Phoenix, the city actually fought it in federal court. They actually won, so the FAA wasn't able to put those flight paths into effect at that time. My brother lives over the flight path over in Gilbert North, excuse me, North Mesa area, and I mean you can hear planes flying over, but it's not like super distracting out there. Now that's far out, right? North Phoenix, a little bit closer. Be interesting to see from that side. So keep our eyes on here. Phoenix has won this battle before. We'll have to see what happens moving forward. And then finally, folks, if you have kids out there, even you're not a big Chick-fil-A chicken fan. Well, Chick-fil-A is adding we're going to call it a new entree option, is what we're going to call it. It's on the menu already, but they're going to do a kids' meal entree option coming up. For the first time, Chick-fil-A has a menu item that does not involve chicken, mac and cheese kid meal. It is available now at restaurants nationwide. The meal's available, like I said, right now, but it includes an entree, side item, drink, and a prize. So the first time Chick-fil-A has offered macaroni and cheese as a standalone kids meal entree, before you had to get it as a side, expanding beyond its past options of grilled or crispy chicken nuggets and those chicken strips on that menu. The mac and cheese, why don't you have mac and cheese with chicken? Add some protein to that mac and cheese. The mac and cheese kids meal features a medium-sized serving of the chain's macaroni and cheese, which is made with a blend of Parmesan, cheddar, and even Romano cheeses. Baked daily fresh, they say in restaurants. Customers can also add bacon to the entree for an additional charge. See, they're missing the opportunity. Throw some protein on there. Throw some chicken strips on top of it for an extra charge. What, Chick-fil-A? Do I have to do everything obvious for you? Guests can choose from a variety of sides, the standard waffle potato fries, potato chips, fruit cup, applesauce, so standard size. Drink options, standard white or chocolate milk, apple juice, simply orange bottled water, even upgraded fountain or frozen beverages are drinks on the side of this. So, why is this a big deal? Well, Chick-fil-A's effort to broaden options for the younger diners out there, particularly children who prefer non-chicken menu items, is what they're moving towards. Macaroni and cheese has been one of the chain's most popular side dishes in many years now. Macaroni and cheese. Sometimes I get it as a side, like if my kids want something from there, I'll just be like, "Oh, I'll throw a side of macaroni and cheese on there." Sometimes it's phenomenal. Sometimes it's just super oily and greasy at the bottom, and it's not good. Kind of inconsistent, at least in my limited testing of it there as well. Uh, is what we're looking at this point right now. Breaking here on the market here. So, like I said, some unease on this deal. Trump is coming out now and say he is denying Iran's account of the deal terms. He, of course, decries the new drone attack by Iran and calls them dishonorable people out there, is what he said about Iran. So he denied the terms of the war-ending deal that have been circulating on Iranian media, state media, is what Trump is doing as we're speaking right now. His quote was, "What they said." Now, according to Truth Social, President Trump said, he said, "What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth," is what Trump said on social media as well. Um, so, we'll have to see where the market goes based off of what President Trump is saying as we're speaking right now as well. Just checking again really quick here on the update on the SpaceX IPO. Still waiting for that to hit. These business sites, folks, have you can click on a live update and they're giving play by play as things are happening on the market right now for SpaceX. This is the world we live in, folks. Hey, Friday is done. I'm getting out of here. Not really. I'm going on to the main event, but you guys have a great weekend out there. We'll be back Monday morning at 7 a.m., of course. McCollum on Business. Come and join us, would you? Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.